My name is Taj Gill, and I'm very honoured to be attending today Dr. Amo Raju's 30th year in the charity, and obviously he's retiring, and to be actually coming to this event is a great honour for me, because I feel that he's done a lot for the charity over the 30 years, and to give him a send-off, more than happy to do that, because he's done a great amount of work over the years and thoroughly deserves it.
Hi, I'm Irshad Baki, Chief Executive at Children First Derby. I've been in Derby sort of about around 3 years, so I was fairly new to Derby, and one of the first people I met was Amo, and it was a real experience in terms of sort of learning from somebody who's been around and has been doing it for such a long time. So picking his brain in terms of sort of experience and his knowledge about the local area and about the people around in Derby, and how I could progress in my own work and in terms of what I'm doing. So it was a real pleasure knowing him, and we also worked together on the Derby Asian Strategic Partnership, and where we did a lot of work together. Yeah, I mean, we wish Amo all the best, and hope that I'm sure he's around and will continue to benefit from his experience and knowledge going forward.
I am Raj OBE, Managing Director of Blue Sky Brokers and the Blue Sky Social Care Card.
I am Louise Moss, Interim CEO of Disability Direct, said with a heavy heart, because it's a big job, as we'll find out, and we will be your hosts tonight.
Wow.
A slightly alternative double act.
A professional and a starter. It's truly an honour for us both to stand before you today as we gather to celebrate the incredible leadership and lasting legacy of our outgoing CEO, Dr. Amo Raju OBE DL. Can't even see where he is. This evening will all be about thanking Amo for his 30 years of hard work and service to the disabled people in the city and the voluntary sector.
So, as most of us know, over the past 30 years, Amo has not only led DD with vision and determination, but has also shaped a place for us all to feel very safe in from a work perspective, a positive place where employees are motivated, valued, and are very much aligned with what the mission is of Disability Direct. And that will continue to inspire us all from today. And it's that kind of leadership that goes a bit beyond everything that might happen in a boardroom, and it touches every corner of this organisation, and all of you are a testament to the lives that he's touched through his tenure at DD.
Under Amo's guidance, DD has seen tremendous growth, not just in numbers, but in the strength of our divisions and the innovation of our work.
As we look to the future, we carry with us the lessons Amo shared. Lessons in resilience, and even in 5 minutes as interim CEO, I know I need a truckload of that already, and leadership and vision. And we know it's not just about Amo, but actually it's about everybody in this room sharing together and building DD for the next 30 years. But it's thanks to him we're here. And today is a day to celebrate, as I say, not just Amo and his accomplishments, but the lasting influence that they've left behind for DD and for all the people it will continue to help and support and drive change, which is much needed for disabled people and their families and carers. So that's our kind of formal introduction out the way. And tonight, hold on to your drinks, because we have 11 speakers who have all been told to keep it really short, okay? And I'm sure there'll be some jokes and laughs along the way, please, speakers. And they will share their own thoughts and memories. And of Amo's time. And you know what's really important to remember? It's one of the most successful user-led organisations in this country, disabled people. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we are going to start. Now, please be aware that you're not going to have 11 speakers and then you're going to eat your food. We are going to break it up over the evening. So, first, I would like to introduce on stage somebody that we would all know as a true gentleman, the Vice Lord Lieutenant of Derbyshire, Colonel John Wilson, OBE, DL.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great privilege for me to be here this evening. And you've heard that our speeches need to be short. I've got 2 speeches, and I'm going to keep them both very, very short, I promise you. But it is a great privilege for me to be here just to share with you all, people that have known Amo for a long time and been involved with DD for such a long time. It's a privilege for me to be able to share that with you. I'm here representing His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant for Derbyshire, who is a Fothergill, who you can curtsy if you know, who would have loved to have been here but otherwise engaged, but she does send her best wishes to everybody, and Amo especially to you from Liz. I'm very aware of Amo's enthusiastic support for disabled people in Derbyshire and indeed around the country. And I've had and was touched by one experience with Amo and his team, which gave me the opportunity to see firsthand the effects of his hard work. Amo, a few years ago, Amo had turned his attention to villages in the Punjab in India, where there's disadvantage, there's a lack of opportunities through poverty, and where disability is a considerable affecting element. And it was a great privilege for me to join Amo and his team of DD executives on a trip to India in February and March last year, 2023, and a number of those in this room. The main aim of the trip was to visit a village called Sadawai, to present disability handbikes to disabled people and money for medical bills to families with disability and poverty. We also visited the charity's payroll workforce at Brain Technology in Ahmedabad. And we did some sightseeing. Inevitably, you can't go to India without some sightseeing. And it was a wonderful experience to visit the Golden Temple, the Jallianwala Bagh Memorial, and of course the Taj Mahal. For me, it was the trip that made a serious assault on my senses. It was a remarkable emotional experience, providing lifetime memories. An opportunity to see the effects of Amo's work and his team's work, again, on disability and poverty. Equally importantly, it improved my awareness of the work of Amo and his team, the team that he leads, of course. Now, each year, His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant commissions people to become Deputy Lieutenants in the county to support the work that she does in support of King Charles III, of course. And it was in July 2023 that she decided to commission Amo to be a Deputy Lieutenant in Derbyshire. And on such occasions, she makes an announcement to the Lieutenancy about newly appointed Deputy Lieutenants. And I hope you bear with me. I'm going to read an extract from the announcement that she made to the Lieutenancy about Amo in July 2023. And I quote, "Amo Raju OBE DL is the Chief Executive of Disability Direct in Derby, which celebrates 30 years of service this year." That was 2023. He is the only remaining founding member of staff, joining as a volunteer just 2 weeks after the launch of the charity. Having spent most of his working life in the voluntary sector, Amo has excelled in his role as CEO and has a renewed mission to highlight the amazing possibilities disabled people may have in their life if they have the correct support, structures and environment. Under his leadership, the charity has raised just under £30 million, and they've handled over 130,000 enquiries, and that was July 2023, and no doubt all of that's increased since then. She went on to talk about some of Amo's achievements, about his honorary doctorate from the university, about some of the many of the awards, and you'll hear more of that later from other people. As a Deputy Lieutenant, Amo now supports His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant around the county of Derbyshire, and is a member of the lieutenantship panel that undertakes assessments for those voluntary organisations who have been nominated for a King's Award for voluntary service. And on behalf of His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant Amo, I thank you for all of that work that you do to support us. Now, I said there were two pieces to this. For the second piece, I'm merely the messenger. Many of you in the room will know Pat Taylor. Pat, unfortunately, is away on holiday, but she sent me some notes and asked me if I would read them out, so that is what I'm going to do. And it's addressed to Amo from Pat. Roy and I are very sorry that we cannot be with you on this very special occasion celebrating your retirement. I am sure that everyone here this evening will agree with me that Richard Shaw, the founder of Disability Direct, had a vision to support disabled people in the city of Derby. When Richard retired from his role as Chief Executive, he and the directors of DD put their trust in you as their new CEO. And what a great journey you have navigated for DD. It has grown out of all recognition from where it started, in a small office on Normanton Road in Derby. You knew that DD needed larger premises, its own premises, and after long discussions with board members and obtaining European social funds, DD finally got its own premises on Pride Park. Under your leadership, DD went from strength to strength. Your personal and professional skills and qualities have been a major factor in the growth of DD. You have shown hard work, perseverance, imagination, fortitude, determination and tenacity. You have worked tirelessly to meet the needs of disabled people. You have turned vision into reality. That is never easy to do. But you, Amo, continue to do it. For example, gaining more contracts and funding, and that means more services for disabled people. Developments under your leadership include home information services, welfare rights benefits, home visiting services, an Enable Centre and direct payments. You have managed DD's development and ownership of 3 subsidiary companies, the Syndicate Payroll Services, Nimbus and Blue Sky. With your vision, you knew that the profit from these 3 companies would enable DD to develop other services for disabled people. I'm nearly there. You and your dedicated team of staff have improved the lives of so many disabled people who face difficulties and challenges. Your leadership has taken DD to national and international level. And this is from Pat. She says, I am delighted that your achievements have been recognised. An honorary doctorate from the University of Derby, an OBE, a commission as a Deputy Lieutenant for Derbyshire, and the ITV News National Diversity Award. As a disabled person myself, as we all know Pat is, I want to say thank you for your dedication and life's work in supporting the needs of disabled people. Please enjoy your retirement, Amo, with much love. Pat.
Thank you, everybody. My apologies to the person operating the camera there. My speech is that I've been as Raj just pointed out, I've been the chairman now for 10 years and on the board for 25 years. And I would go back to the days before Amo was even, he wasn't even employed, I think he was just a volunteer at the time. Richard Shaw was the chief executive then. But all I'm going to say, because there's going to be a lot said tonight about Amo's achievements and such things, but all I wanted to say, as I've watched Amo over the years and seen the development of Disability Direct, it's become apparent that one of Amo's greatest talents has been his ability to identify the right people for the right job. And the different sections within the group, so you've got Blue Sky, Nimbus, and all the rest of it. You've got all these groups, and it's been the people that is selected to do the job that has made the difference. Yeah. I can point out the people, but you know, it's Raj, it's Martin, it's well, Natasha did the biggest job at the Enabled Centre. I know it's being run by Pauline now, but and Avatar at payroll, and it's that I think is his greatest quality, is identifying the right people. And really, yeah, that's mainly my point. I was told to keep it short, so I've kept it short. Thanks very much.
I officially told him to keep it short. Yeah. It was easier. I've got more influence here. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to Catherine Mitchell, CBE-DL, Vice-Chancellor of the University of Derby and Professor. Would you like to come up and join us for your talk?
I've been trying to think of a joke, because she said we needed to be funny, and I haven't got anything funny in my speech. But I just want to say, though, the one thing that I do know about Amo is that wherever I meet him, he's probably one of the snazzier dressers that I know. Whether we're being cool and chic somewhere, even when you were out in India, or whether you're dressed up tonight, or when you came to the university, he does have that sort of flair, doesn't he, that always makes us feel a little bit underdressed or overdressed. So I think that's something we should all remember you for. But I'm really delighted this evening to speak on behalf of the university. And there are many people at the university that actually know Amo. Because actually, Amo's influence is at very different levels across our city and with many of our people. And I'm certain many of you here tonight know him in certain different ways, but for me, Amo is a true role model who doesn't have to stand up and shout, but by his presence, by his actions, by the way he engages with people, from the students all the way to our staff, actually has such an impact that he probably will never know the impact that he's had. So we were delighted in 2022 to recognise Amo for his commitment and contribution to the voluntary sector and the disabled community in Derby by awarding him an honorary doctor of the university. And it's important to note that we don't give out honorary doctorates very easily. We have a huge committee. We reject many more people than we accept. And actually there are different levels that you can award. And it's usually we only award honorary doctorates twice a year. And I just think it's important that you all know that it goes through a very rigorous process, and Amo was one of those people that we knew deserved to be an honorary doctorate. The bit that he got his honorary doctorate for were many-fold. I suppose the most important for me was that he has been instrumental in promoting and supporting services for disabled people in our city. And I think people that have the impact in their city, it's sometimes easier to leave your city than actually do it. And I think that that, for me, was fundamental. The amount of money that Amo has brought into the city, almost £30 million through fundraising, through grants, through, you know, really putting himself on the line, is quite phenomenal. And that is often missed when actually we wouldn't have been able to have the services in our city if that hadn't happened. And you only do that if you have characteristics of resilience, of passion, and putting yourself out there to achieve that. And I think he deserves a huge round of applause for that. John has talked about many of the awards, but I just want to talk about Amo's book, which probably gave me a little bit more insight into the man. Walk like a man. Even the title for me made me have to think about the differences that people live with day to day that actually don't truly portray. So this book, based upon real life events in Amo's journey, from an unskilled, disheartened and unemployed individual to the inspiration he is today. And for many of my students, we have significant numbers of students at the university with a disability. I recommend that book to them, because that book gives us all, I suppose, a bit of a shake-up, that we can transform our own lives as well as other people's lives. And for me, the importance of Amo's journey is he had to transform himself before he could transform our city and the impact he's had on disability for thousands of people, wider than our city now, way beyond our city. But realising you have to do that journey is probably, for me, the biggest accolade I know for Amo. So, I don't know what your life's going to be like stepping down. I don't believe you're really going to be stepping down from activity, but you probably are from the CEO. And as a CEO, myself, we always think, oh, it'll be great. But, you know, what I do know is it will be impossible for Amo not to be an influential advocate for disability for the rest of his life. And I think that that is something that you can hold on to. We did have once a little bit of a talk about your success in your Bangor music industry, so maybe we'll see you on the scenes of Derby in a completely different light. My students need a bit of music. Okay, Amo. But for me personally, not just from the university, meeting you has made me a better CEO for running my university. And influenced the way we look at supporting people, how we engage with people. And I just want to say, from the bottom of my heart, an enormous thank you for being in our city, an enormous thank you for the legacy you leave. And I wish you actually great success in the ability to change other things, I think, post being the CEO. So a huge thank you from the University of Derby. Thank you.
And then before our next course, we thought we'd introduce a few different speakers to you. And I think one of the things that we all know about Amo is his, I'm going to say, slightly dark sense of humour sometimes. And but actually, it's what we've already heard from Catherine is about his snappy dressing, okay? And you know, I've only known Amo for a few years. But my wonderful colleague here has known him for a very long time, so she's got some much better stories than me.
Thanks for the drinks, Sim and Cash. Okay, so I recall many funny moments with Mr. Raju. One being a few years ago, when he came to work and was sat comfortably at his desk for about 30 minutes, and there was a lot of noise in the building where Amo had to run off out in a rush. Do you want to tell us why that was, Amo? Are you sure? So the rumour around the building was that our fashionable CEO had walked into the building with some flares. Some flares that were missing some seams down the side, weren't they? And revealing his legs. And usually he used to call the ladies, well, he used to tell the ladies that you put a bit of weight on. But in this case, I think it wasn't necks that hadn't sewn the trousers right. I think you were overweight at that point. I think you must have sat on that chair and the trousers just ripped. But luckily, I think only a few people saw you leave that day, and we never saw him again that day, obviously. But anyway, I wanted to ask Mrs. Amo. Amo, was there anything that you did that morning? Did he upset you by any chance? Did you bring up them, or did you set him up for the next day? No? No. So yeah, Catherine Mitchell said he was a great fashion setter, and that day I don't think anybody thought of thinking of following that fashion anyway. Okay. After this now, we've got a video to show you of Amo's best bits at work. So we think it's important to show you the professional CEO of DD. You know, it all comes naturally to him. So let's see him in action.
And Maisie, this beautiful young woman who's just coming up to prep the machine. Maisie is responsible for putting this beautiful showreel together of Amo. And if anybody wants a copy, just... apparently you're not allowed one, according to Amo. But if you email somebody other than the ambassador at Disability Direct, you might get the response you need. Well, for a change, and for a change, I didn't know somebody swore as much as me, but I know we're in good company now. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know our main courses are arriving, but rather than make this an evening that goes on till about 1 in the morning, we are going to crack on with our speakers. So, one of the 6 original founding members of Disability Direct, and actually the individual who is responsible for Amo's 30-year career at DD, I would like to invite Anne Webster up to talk to you. Anne is the lead on equality and diversity at Derby City Council and has known him for many years.
Let's wind back the clock to 1994, eh? Now, can you remember? I had a phone call from this guy, here's the job. And I thought, well, actually, he didn't say that. Maybe he did after seeing all that video. Anyway, we had a chat, and he told me a few things about yourself. And I said, how about coming on my job seekers register? Because then the City Council had a job seekers register for minority ethnic people, but also for disabled people. And he said to me, he'd heard I was the woman to be able to get him a job. Okay. When we put the phone down, I said to my assistant, Trevor, wow, that guy, he's in a banker band, he's famous. Now that was then, I mean, look at all this, you've seen all the titles he's got now and everything. But you know, the thing is, I never got his form back. And then I knew DD was recruiting for volunteers and for staff, because I was on the board along with Mick and Robin. And I thought, why hadn't you sent that form back? So I called him. Oh, and the dog ate the form when it come through the letterbox. So we sent him another one, and of course the rest is history. I just wanted to say, as a disabled person myself, but Mick will know this, Richard Shaw, lots of us disabled people here in work, it's tough, isn't it? We have to work harder than anybody else to get a job, to pass that interview, and then carry on at work. Now, I can't believe you're retiring before me, Amo, actually. Where are you? I can't see because I'm down here. Yes, there you are, yeah. So, one of my greatest job satisfactions, to be honest, over the years, is when I see a disabled person getting a job. But when I see that disabled person get that job and succeed and go up and up and up and get all these letters after the name and write books and everything, I feel so proud, and I'm proud that I was there right at the start for you, and I gave you the break right at the beginning. Well done, and enjoy the next chapter of your life, Amo.
Thank you, Anne. Well, that's interesting, Amo, because to my recollection, you said you've only had a dog in the last few years, so I'm not sure the dog ate the form, but anyway, moving on swiftly. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to introduce on stage one of the founding members of Disability Direct, also the Access Officer for the City, Mick Watts.
Well, I'm trying to keep the speech short, so ditto really to what Anne says. I think it's, however, important to recognise that this Amo era nearly didn't start at all. Because I think, if I remember rightly, Amo turned up to work in the office with Richard Shaw on day 1, and then in day 2 he didn't turn up. And I think Richard got on the phone to him and said, "Where are you? Get yourself in this office." And he did, and that's the start of really where we're here today. So I think it's important to recognise the role that the late Richard Shaw did play in Amo's development. It was, I think, mentor would be the right term to use. He was his mentor, and he was his mentor. Richard couldn't carry on as CEO after 2 or 3 years, but he always was Amo's mentor, and I think he used to ring them on a regular basis saying, what are you doing about this? Why haven't you done that? And that was the man. I think it's important. When I was thinking about what to say about all the years, I was thinking, what's the most important thing? And I think the most important thing is that DD is still here. It's thriving. It's pushing on. And there were times during those 30 years that were tough. It wasn't all sweetness and light, it was tough. And we had to make some tough decisions, the board did. Amo implemented those tough decisions, and we are where we are today. I don't know what Amo's going to do from now on. I can't see him staying at home walking the dog. So he'll be doing something. So I wish him all the best with that. And I think I'd like to say, I don't know who the new CEO is going to be, but DD means a lot to me and to Anne. You know, we were there at the beginning of it. So we want the new CEO to look after DD. I'll leave it at that, and thank you for listening, and enjoy your evening.
I would like to introduce you to Peter Cade, who is one of the board members at Disability Direct, and is also the Disability Direct board member on Nimbus. And so I would like to pass the microphone to you, Pete.
Thank you. Evening. I'm going to start off with an apology. I'm sorry there's going to be no jokes from me because I'm really no good as a stand-up comedian. I first worked with Amo some 10 years ago when I was doing some work with the CCG, and we worked together on remind me, Amo, what was it? It was
Personal health budgets.
yes, sir. Right, personal health budgets. And I just remember that both Amo and myself were there fighting for disabled people and mental health and for people with any disability. And I think we managed to get through most of that and did reasonably well. Following on from that, I did quite a bit of work with the CCG. And I worked with Sim, who we'll hear from very shortly. And it was through Sim that I got introduced to GD and became a board member. I sat with Amo for quite a while, and we had a chat, and we're on the same page, still talking about the same things, still wanting the same things. So I joined DD as a board member, and not wanting to just be a board member, I wanted to know exactly what DD did. So I went around and I met with Raj from Blue Sky, and I met somebody from Payroll, and I went to Nimbus, and I met people at Nimbus, and I was really, really impressed with Nimbus, and I really liked it there. And I got invited to become a board member at Nimbus as well. So, just to tell you a little bit about Nimbus and the access card, they're not just the access card, but that is the main source of income. And I think over this last year we've put in about £500,000 to Disability Direct. I remember reading that one of Amo's ambitions when he took over as CEO was that DD became self-funding. Mission accomplished, Amo. I'd just also like to mention two other areas that are very dear to my heart, which Amo has introduced. One is with the Blue Sky and the caring side of it, and looking after carers. That's really, really important. My wife and myself are foster carers for 37 years, I think it is. And having somebody who is interested in people who are carers is really important. Again, my wife isn't just a foster carer, not simply that. She's also my carer, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank her for being that person. So any work that you can do to help carers is greatly appreciated. Another area that's of real interest in me is the SEND dynamic which we are. It's in very early stages, but still doing great jobs. I'm chair of governors at Derby House School, which is a special school in Derby, in case anybody didn't know. And looking after and supporting those children, carers and parents in getting the right things, the right service for them is really, really crucial. So, Amo, I'd just like to thank you for those two areas that you brought into it. They're really important. I know in future, I know that you will be working on various other projects and around your community. And really, I'd like to wish you a very happy semi-retirement, because there's no way you're retiring. You're far too valuable. Thank you, Amo.
Just as we thanked Pete's wife, I think it's important just to take a moment to thank Mrs. Raju for always being by Amo's side. And you can thank me later for playing an extra for the last 15 years, but yes, moving on swiftly. Our seventh speaker for the night is former Police and Crime Commissioner and Cabinet Member for Blaegreaves Ward, Councillor Hardy Al-Dinza. Please can we give him a applause?
Thank you, Jack. What can I add to what has already been said? Peter has just shared the passion and the success and the advocacy for disabled people in Derby, in the Midlands, and beyond just England and the UK, but I think, as the Deputy Lord Lieutenant said earlier, into India and other parts of the countries. Well done, Amo. That is excellent service. I want to say to Amo, Dr. Amo Raju, Councillor Amo Raju, Deputy Lord Lieutenant Amo Raju, and who knows what next, Amo Raju. You have done a great service to the City of Derby, as others have said earlier, but I want to say to you, as a fellow Sikh, fellow Indian, and fellow ethnic minority person, you have done a great service to your community, where you have grown up with your family, and Rishi's contribution is not to be underestimated. And as a local community member, not just as a councillor, I want to recognise what you have achieved from a situation of struggle, disadvantage and discrimination. Well done. You should be proud, as I am proud, and as everybody in this room, I think, is proud of what you have achieved. Now, accolades have gone back and forth, and I was surprised to hear about your Bhangra music and virtuoso around that area way before anything else happen in your life. And I think personally, I've not actually heard too much of that, so I'm gonna try to find a way of listening to that.
He's going to sing later.
I look forward to that. What I want to say is that Amo Raju became a councillor in 2015 for Blakery's Ward. And as Jack mentioned earlier, I am now a councillor for Blakery's Ward. And again, Amo broke barriers in terms of being a disabled person and to do the hard graft of campaigning, and the other councillors who are in this room will know how hard it is to campaign and to win at a local level, and Amo did it in 2015. Not only that, he also became a cabinet member responsible for leisure and other activities across the piece. And he did a great job, and it's just a shame that he was not able to continue because of losing the election in 2019. And I would have loved to have seen him continue to work with me when we were on the council together. The last time, as Jana mentioned, I was a Peace and Crime Commissioner, so I took a backward step into the council work while I was a Peace and Crime Commissioner. But I did watch how forthrightly Amo did the job of being a cabinet member. And that is what's been reflected in terms of him being a chief executive. Starting at the bottom, working his own way up, learning every step, and trying to find that entrepreneurial opportunity or opportunities that has made Disability Direct what it is, from a charity, and like most charities, having to look at funding from other sources to a self-financing, income-generating organisation that can stand on its feet, not just in Derby, but beyond, not just in the Midlands, but beyond that in the UK and further. And I think Vice Lord Lieutenant Wilson mentioned about the trips to India and the continued work to make sure that we maximise the lack of opportunity for disabled people in India that we all know exists. And it's great that Amo has championed that, and I'm sure he will continue to champion that, even though he will step down from being the Chief Executive of the Disability Direct. Amo's time on the council was short, but he took on a responsibility as cabinet member, and he did that with great determination and to great praise in terms of what he was doing. There was one incident that happened which, not of Amo's making, but which focused on disability. And that was because a councillor on Derby City Council made a comment about Amo using, not being disabled or using disability as a sort of reason for getting things done. It was a travesty. It was a comment which you could put into discrimination and not understanding how people can contribute into our society and to our community, irrespective of what their background is, whether they're an ethnic minority or they're disabled. They are still people, they can still contribute, and they do that all the time, and Amo was doing that. And that led to, I think, the penultimate AGM, wasn't it, Amo? Where Amo made an impassioned speech of saying that some people still need to learn that disability and discrimination is something that they need to be better understanding and promoting. And it led to a unanimous vote of the council, and Robin, I think you remember that at the time, and of course, you remember that, and Sarah, you were on there as well. and a unanimous decision by the council to say that we need to improve our training and awareness on the City Council, not just for councillors, but throughout the organisation, about the understanding of disability, discrimination, and wider than that. And that was an achievement in itself, that a unanimous council motion was passed. And that training happened, but I'm sorry to say that I'm not sure it's still continuing to happen. And one of the things that today reminds me that I will go back and to say how we can make sure that that is rejuvenated. Because Amo was a person who created that catalyst. Now, he was not the one who raised the issue. Disability Direct, on his behalf, raised the issue by the councillor making a derogatory comment about Amo. Amo held his head high and did not want to say anything. But when Disability Direct, as an organisation, felt that the affront was too much, they raised that, and that led to a seismic change in the council. So Amo, you made a difference. You may not have been there long, but you did make a difference, and that will be remembered for a long time. So, I can say a lot more, but Amo, enjoy today, because this is an accolade you deserve, and I know you won't retire, because your energy and entrepreneurial skills will continue to work for you, for the city, and for beyond. Thank you very much.
So we're going to leave you to chat and actually properly eat your dinner without having to be quiet with your knives and forks. Thank you for your patience, everybody, and we'll be back soon with another story.
We met in Blaegreaves when I was out pounding the streets for your campaign, and you asked me to bring my group around to Disability Direct. Yeah, great. Best of luck with your retirement. Enjoy it. You're not going to retire, are you? You're going to just keep going and going. Go for it.
And I know Raj has got a story that slightly disturbed her of his foresight, shall we say.
What's coming on us? Okay, so we all know when COVID hit, and the World Health Organization was talking about COVID hitting Italy. Yes, it was a very serious matter, but it hadn't spread into the UK, and Boris hadn't done a speech yet. So one day I walked into the office and I thought, oh, I'll go and nick a coffee from Amo's office, why use my own? And as I opened the door, Mr. Amo Raju, was scooping his belongings up. And he told me, right, I'm not coming back in. I think Boris might announce that we're going to have a lockdown soon, but as of today, I'm not in for 3 months. So I'm like, hey, okay. It took me a bit by surprise that our CEO was running out the building without letting the directors know that COVID was going to spread wildly and that UK was going into lockdown. So as a director, I stood at the door and thought, right, great CEO, obviously practiced social distancing, and yeah, so I don't know what went wrong there, but Mr. Prim and Proper, Mr. Amo Raju, had a bit of a blunder there, didn't you, Mr. Raju? No, apparently, he told us he was worried because he had already had swine flu once, and it was really bad, and he didn't want anything else again because he didn't get over how bad swine flu was. But anyway, this is our CEO. This is how he led us at that time. But in actual fact, he did say, probably we will go into lockdown tonight, and then you guys can follow whatever Boris says. But he soon ran out that door. But anyway, that was a funny moment. Obviously not now after COVID hit, but it was a funny moment to see then.
So, I would now like to invite our next speaker up, and a long-time supporter of Disability Direct, and of mine myself when I started at Disability Direct, Deputy CEO at Community Action Derby, Ijaz Sawar.
Thank you, Louise. So, this evening we've heard some great stories about Amo and his accomplishments, and I can't really replicate any of that, but I'm just going to say a few words that mean something to me that's quite important because... Sorry, can you hear me better? I just want to say a few words that Amo has been a foundation, a solid person for the voluntary sector. Our CEO, Kim, said, without Amo, half the accomplishments in the city would have not happened, and she genuinely meant that. But for me, I've known Amo for 25 years, and over them 25 years, I've had an ear bashing a few times, I definitely have, but I've had some of the best advice and support I could ever ask for. He's enabled me, members of the community, members of the voluntary community sector, move forward. And at times, his honesty, his integrity has been amazing. For me, I just want to say thank you, Amo, for being a true gent. And in the words of the Prophet Muhammad, he used to quote, "The best amongst us are those that serve others, that help others, that challenge injustice, that challenge discrimination." And Amo, for me, you're the best amongst us, definitely. So thank you for all your help and support over the years. Take care, good luck, and just keep that phone on for me, please. I didn't know calls. Thank you, Amo, and good luck to the rest of DD, because it's a hard act to follow, but we're here to support you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ijaz. Our next speaker, our ninth speaker, is Councillor for the Arboretum Ward, Councillor Cecile Wright. If we could give her a round of applause.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be invited here today to congratulate and wish my dear friend, Dr. Amo Raju, all the best for the future. Now, Dr. Amo Raju, can I congratulate you amongst your many achievements and accomplishments? I have to congratulate you on being part of the PhD fraternity. Whilst I got my PhD through the traditional route, nearly 30 years ago, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Derby has emphasised how rare it is for any academic institution to award a doctorate to a member of society, one of our citizens. So you have achieved something absolutely phenomenal, and we ought to congratulate you. Now, I've known, if you don't mind me using your formal title, I won't use all the letters, Dr. Amo Raju, because I'm so proud of you. I've known you for nearly 10 years. I first met you when I was selected to be a candidate for the council elections in some years later, but Blakegreen's ward. It was a delight to have worked alongside you. Unfortunately, I did not win. Unfortunately, I didn't. However, I did put myself for reselection for the ward of Blakegreen's. And unfortunately, I was not selected, but a younger woman was selected. So I want to publicly say to you that I forgive you for selecting a younger woman. Now, I'm now able to explain all my theory in light of what your chair has said, that clearly, knowing your ability to always select the right person for the job, that perhaps you selected the right person. So how can I complain? I understand from your fascinating backstory that in every situation you have availed yourself to assist and advocate for others. And this is exemplified by the phenomenal heights that you've taken Disability Direct. So once again, let us congratulate Amo, Dr. Amo Raju. It is already your leadership skills has already been shared with us, but I want to reiterate what has been said about the inclusive nature of how you lead an organisation, which reflects your inclusive way of life and how important being inclusive is for you, particularly in a society where different demographics and groups do not always get the opportunity that they deserve. My fellow councillor, Councillor Dinser, has already highlighted the fact that for some groups, if you're black, if you're Asian, if you're disabled, and other groups, your life is likely to be one that is plagued by barriers. And what you have done, using Disability Direct and other advocacy opportunities, is to ensure that disabled people live their best lives. So once again, we have to thank you for that. And in doing so, not only have you advocated and been actively ensuring that there are structural changes to enable and remove barriers, you've also played a significant role in changing attitudes. So you have done the phenomenal task of focusing on structural changes and attitudinal changes to remove barriers in terms of disabilities. And I also want to thank you for your attempts to help nearly 2,000 young black people in the city of Derby who in 2020, during the pandemic, stood on the steps of the City Council to protest about the lack of opportunity and discrimination that they experienced in the City of Derby. They did not just stand on the steps, they then went away and asked me, invited me as a local professor, to assist them to create a narrative, a manifesto, which they attempted to use to bring about structural changes in the city. And we ask you to assist us, and you willingly did that. So I'd like to thank you for that. And more recently, my nephew experienced a life-changing, as a result of an injury, experienced physical life-changing injury that has left him blind. He's still having to go through counselling because of the trauma, and I can only thank you for the support that you've given to my nephew. Can I say, now that you've joined the academic fraternity, already done a publication, and I don't think we fully recognise what you have achieved. The Vice-Chancellor said today, this evening, that she is recommending your publication to her students. That is phenomenal, because you will offer the insight into the world of others in that book. People who have to grapple with and navigate the world through their disability. So once again, that is a phenomenal achievement. So, what I'd like to say to you, I know that you are sort of retiring, but I doubt it. You are clearly somebody who was put on this earth to serve, to help others, to assist others with the tools and the wherewithal to live their best lives. So, can I make a plea? Could you please find some time to do that in academia? Join the fraternity in the fullest way and help us all, help us students, help the city in ensuring that people with all sorts of disabilities live their best lives. Thank you.
I think we all know Amo's not going to really be having any quiet time anytime soon. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call up next a lady who was not only a fabulous trustee of Disability Direct, Sim Sol, who is Deputy Director of the Primary Care Transformation at NHS Nottingham. Sim, please come up.
I paid good money for these, okay? But little did I know that after the pandemic and working from home, my feet were going to swell at the extent that they did. So here's to the shoes. Right. Jag, thank you for giving me the graveyard shift and making me feel and look bloated. Thank you. No, on a serious note, well done for your organisation. Fabulous. Thank you. So, for those who don't know me, my name's Sim Sal. I'm a board member, as Louise had said, and I'm also a deputy director for the NHS Commissioning Board in Nottinghamshire. I've known Amo since 2019, but it feels like an absolute lifetime ago, given how much he's shared and let me into his kind of life and his personal journey. I think that speaks volumes. Amo found me on LinkedIn. He invited me in for a chat into his office and made a few digs at the NHS, which really got my back up. I'll never forget that day, Amo. He had a real gripe with NHS commissioners, and I wanted to prove that actually they're not all that bad, me being one of them. Amo knew how much supporting people with disabilities was close to my heart, given my past experience of managing voluntary sector services across Derbyshire and beyond the region, and also as a carer. I gave board work a go after lots and lots of conviction. I didn't think it was up my street. I didn't think it was, if I'm completely honest with you, I didn't know that I was going to be able to add the value that I have done. So thank you for giving me the chance and the opportunity. It'll be 5 years this autumn, and the rest is history. We've been to countless award ceremonies, events, etc. One memorable night was winning a bottle of champers, or 2, or 3, Raj? Was it 4? I wasn't there. We won a few, didn't we? At an event. We've had some giggles along the way, and I felt absolutely honoured to have been part of these and hope that we can continue to celebrate Amo's achievements going forward, because this isn't the end. Another special and heartwarming occasion was being part of Amo's book signing for Walk Like a Man. And without repeating what others have already said, it's still one of my favourite reads personally. Well deserving of its ratings and success worldwide, so well done for that. Lots and lots of memories have been made amidst the challenges faced by our charity, particularly during the COVID pandemic and during its restoration and recovery. Amo, personally, I want to thank you for your dedication, support to the board and the wider workforce and our communities, both near and far, namely our homeland in India, which has also been mentioned. I'm not sure what DD will actually do without you, which is why you're not going. So you'll forever be an ambassador for DD, no matter what you do going forwards. Beyond 2025, please do not lose touch. If you do, we'll stalk you. I'll stalk you. Keep up the profile for disabled people, and above all, I want to wish you a restful, long and happy retirement with your loved ones. And one last question to the floor. Mrs. Raju, are you happy to have your husband back? That's it from Thanks. Yes, we have our 11th speaker. But then we will have a few words from Robin. Robin, you still up for it? Okay. Our 11th... Oh, Robin's coming first. Let's have you, Robin. Come on, Robin. Come on, Robin, you're up now. Robin is one of the founding trustees as well of Disability Direct, and it's a last-minute speech, but I'm sure it's going to be good.
I didn't put my name down because I thought you'd all be bored by now, because everybody wanted to speak. So I won't say a lot, because if I was to tell you all the things I know about Amo, and I'm not giving it his Sunday title, he's Amo. If I told you that, we'd still be here at breakfast. So I'm not going to do that, but I think our lives were intended to interwave, if that's the word. I've known him since he started as an information officer and a volunteer, and what he's achieved is incredible. There are a lot of people here this evening, but if you put all the people that Amo has helped, or just the disabled people, you would fill the Pride Park Stadium twice, possibly 3 times. And that's a great record to be very, very proud of. I said we were destined to keep working together. I was once in New York, other side of the Atlantic. Tens of millions of people in New York City. And who did I bump into? Amo! I didn't ask him why he was there, but he was with 4 rather attractive young ladies at the time, so I didn't go into too deeply. A couple of things I want to remember. Something never told anybody, but Amo rang me one day and said, I want to talk to you. Can we meet somewhere independent? We ended up in Starbucks. And I didn't know what I'd done wrong, that I was going to be carpeted or whatever. And he said, and he could not be down, he said, I'm thinking of standing for the council. And I said, oh? And as you probably know, I've been a Conservative councillor for this ward, Little Over for 16 years, and Oakwood for 16 years, and was perhaps the longest serving councillor, except for a certain lady here, who overtook me at one point, and I've overtaken her, so there we are. So I asked the obvious question. I said, well, for which party? And I thought, I didn't know what the answer would be. I genuinely didn't know what the answer would be. And he said to me the best thing that I've ever heard a politician say, and that was, I want to represent the people where I live. Therefore, I am going to stand for the Labour Party. And I understood that. I mean, I represented the people where I lived, and I was a Conservative. And people have ideology, left or right or whatever. But what is the best incentive for a politician than to represent the people where I live, which is great. And yes, Hardil, you put your finger on it. His final speech to the full chamber was one of the best in 40-odd years I had ever heard in that chamber. And I actually stood up and said so, which got me into trouble with my own party, but there you are. It was worth doing. That there should be interactive training for councillors and for council officers, and that was passed unanimously. And it hasn't been implemented yet. Doesn't matter who's been in charge of the council, it has not been implemented because the officers decide it won't happen. So not just a majority on the city council, a unanimous vote has been ignored by our city council officers. And I think that is a legacy that I hope will see implemented. And I think that will get cross-party support sooner or later. Amo's departure has been one of those things, you know, where it keeps coming back for a final, by public demand, performance. And here we are, actually, it is happening at us, but that gives us a huge problem. Because as you've heard this evening, all the things he's done for disabled people, not just in Derby, but throughout the world, quite honestly, that's a very difficult act to follow. And those of us who've got to select his successor, we've got a very tough job to do. We'll be doing that in the next few weeks. But there will always be that legacy that we've been seeing on the screen all evening. Amo will always be Amo. Don't agree with everything he says. And there have been times when we've had to say no as board members, but he's taken it with good grace. But the successes have way outweighed the failures. And I think we can all be proud of what he's done. It's happened with a lot of people, not just Amo, but the people he has led that have been loyal to him. And I think we have a huge organisation now that started in Richard Shaw's kitchen with 2 or 3 of us who are here still this evening. And we're all a bit slimmer. We could get in one kitchen in those days. And it has grown to this huge organisation that's done so much. So thank you, Amo. I wasn't going to speak, but now I have. I'm very, very pleased that I've got this chance to say thank you.
Thank you, Robin. We are now on to our final speaker for the night. But before I introduce this special person to me, I'd like to say that all divisions, all of the directors in all of DD do a great job. So I'm going to be a bit biased now. I'm sorry, guys. I am going to introduce onto stage a newly elected Member of Parliament and a great supporter of the Blue Sky Social Care Card, MP for Derby North, Catherine Atkinson.
Thank you. It's a real honour to be allowed to help celebrate the 30 years of Amo's contribution to Disability Direct, advocating for and supporting disabled people. And it's been incredible to hear this evening so much more about how far Disability Direct has come from the small charity it was in 1993 to one that now assists people locally and nationally, supporting over 140,000 people. And I'm so, 140,000 people, that deserves a round of applause. And I'm so proud that Derby is its home. So very few of us get to have that kind of impact on that number of people. Now, I know that Disability Direct couldn't achieve what it does without it being a huge team effort. And having seen that video, it's clearly a team that you've been ruling with an iron fist. But to have so many people come together at such an event where there is so much humour and love and pride takes a very, very special person. And as well as his snappy dressing, I think that anyone who has met him will recognise drive and passion and determination. Amo, you empower others. And you champion services that not only support disabled people, but that are shaped by them. Autonomy, independence, respect of disabled people are at the centre of your work and the centre of Disability Direct. And on those foundations that you have helped build, I know that Disability Direct will continue to thrive. Now, there's been a lot of scepticism in the room about Amo actually retiring. But I don't think that you will have any trouble filling your time, whether it's with speaking or writing or singing. And I, for one, am looking forward to the next massive banger hit. But I really can't wait to see what Disability Direct and what you achieve next. Thank you.
Have your attention. I know that there's been many people that we've heard from tonight, but there is one man that we actually haven't heard from yet. The man who is our newly appointed ambassador. Disability Direct have never had an ambassador before. And part of that role is not only to provide us all with a lifetime supply of Ferrero Rocher, but it is to continue the legacy that Amo has brought to Disability Direct and his network and reach, that he can continue to do what he has done so well under the guise of Disability Direct. So I think it's there's been so much said about Amo, but I think it's important that we hear from the man himself. So we know he will be leaving the charity in good stead, in shape for all of us to move forward. But it is a heavy legacy to continue, and we all feel like custodians of what the future can look like for Disability Direct.
Therefore, on behalf of all of us, thank you, Amo, for your guidance to us all, dedication over the last 3 decades, and the countless ways you've made a difference. You have. We wish you nothing but success and fulfilment in the exciting journey ahead. Shall we mention a few of his awards?
I don't know whether we've all heard the letters after his name, and we can all be a bit flippant about those, actually, because we tease him about it constantly. And that's good, because, as we keep saying, he can take a good dick. But there are some dig! Trust box. I didn't say that. What can I say? Amo has had many awards, from the Scope Role Model Award, from the ITV National Diversity Awards, Lifetime Achievement Award, but we know that life is not done yet. British Asian Outstanding Third Sector Achiever, listed in the Disability Power List for 2023. awarded the doctorate that we've heard, and he's got another job in academia now, I understand, awarded an OBE by His Majesty the King. And as we've heard from John, Deputy to his Lord Lieutenant of Derbyshire. So not forgetting that legacy for himself, but it is the legacy of all of us as individuals and all of the subsidiaries within DD, because it is something that we are all incredibly proud to plan what the next 30 years looks like. And it will be different without you at the helm, undoubtedly, but I think we're all very pleased to know that you will be there mentoring all of us and supporting disabled people to make sure that life is a right, not a fight, that it is about not only supporting disabled people day to day, but so they can dare to dream. And so, without further ado, the man of the evening, Dr. Amo Raju OBE.
Eagerly waiting for the microphone, but before he actually comes on to speak, let's get our piece of paper. Here is our singer, speaker, panelist, wedding registrar, Dr. Amo Raju OBE DL.
I bet you didn't know I wear glasses, did you? Gosh, okay. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Right. Vice Lord Lieutenant, ladies, gentlemen, friends, colleagues, family members, and any possible gate crashers, thank you. Thank you for coming tonight and making this a very memorable evening. I love the fact that everybody's talking about me. It's my favourite subject. So this evening's been a real surreal experience for me. It's like being toasted for my service by dignitaries and roasted by my staff. You lot are lucky I don't have the power to discipline you anymore. Well, wow, yes, I finally let go. Many, including myself, thought it would never happen. And you're here all tonight, celebrating, drinking, eating. But let's be honest, you're here to really make sure I am really leaving, don't you? He's not coming back. Make sure he's not coming back. Some of you thought I'd left DD many, many years ago, particularly when I stopped responding to your phone calls and your emails. And truth is, you're obviously wrong. I hadn't left. The truth is, I was just ignoring you. But seriously, the decision to step down was one that I wrestled with for more than 6 months. And I don't mind admitting, many tears were shed by me and those close to me at home and even in the office when I announced my decision. Tonight, there's been so many kind words said about my time at DD and in the sector. Some of those words may even be true. Nevertheless, I'll take this opportunity to thank all the speakers before me who, without hesitation, took my bribe and stuck to the script. This 30-year journey has been incredible. There's been many successes and one or two failures, but we don't talk about the failures. There were a couple. I don't mind admitting I did cry a little. I've got off script myself. Back in June, as I began to write my resignation, as I say, I don't mind admitting I shed a tear or two. Not because of any fear for the future. That's in the good Lord's hands. I cried because, well,
Most of you will not know my journey, unless you've read my best-selling book on Amazon, available at a very reasonable price. Paperback, hardback, either electronic, and now audio as well. Walk like a man. I was born disabled to immigrant parents who had only just arrived in the UK and did not fully understand their child's diagnosis. I was bullied through school and became an introvert. I left school and became an extrovert. And as you heard, I joined a band and God help me, I got a record contract. By a miracle, I persuaded a beautiful woman to marry me. I don't know why she did, but she did. Must be my incredible boyish good looks. But after a couple of disastrous years living in Nottingham, we found ourselves homeless and eventually moved back to Derby. The music industry wasn't quite ready for a disabled singer, so I fell deep into depression, becoming the recipient of a few choice words from my late grandfather, who reminded me that I was now married and I had 3 small children. I should get a proper job. But the truth is, no employer wanted me. I applied for jobs galore. Nothing, zilch, not even interviews. And so I dipped further into depression. And a social worker decided that the best place for me was in a day centre. I'd never heard of day centres. But I reluctantly agreed to go to a taster session. That day centre was called the Rycote Day Centre. You sort of may have heard of it. It's in Edmonton Road. Anyway, I went and I walked out within half an hour. And I did something strange. I said something strange to the manager. I said, I'll be back. Don't know why I said it. Yeah, it wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger. I said, I'll be back. And strangely enough, 20 years later, I went back as the CEO of Disability Direct and took over that day centre. I remodernised that day centre because I didn't like day centres. I didn't like what they stood for. And I wanted it to become a life skills centre. And on this table here we have what is now called the Enable Centre, which is the rebirth of that centre. Anyway, that depression continued because I still couldn't get a job. And on March the 7th, 1994, I decided that I was good for nothing and I must end my life. And that I felt I was of no use to anyone. Cut a long story short, I did change my mind in a split second, but decided I needed to retrain. And as Anne Webster quite correctly said, I was referred to a brand new charity that had literally opened its doors on Normanton Road called Disability Direct. My family lived on benefits, and I was tempted by the extra £10 a week that the government was giving to go and do some volunteer work with this charity. So I didn't hesitate, because that £10 meant a lot to me. And as Mick said in his speech, at the end of that first day, my intention was not to come back for the second day. Because I actually went home and I said to Mrs. Raju, I ain't going back there. She said, why? I said, it's full of disabled people, did you know that? And she says, have you looked at yourself? And Richard Shaw, on my way out on that end of that first day, he called me into his office, and I think he could tell that I wasn't planning to come back. And he gave me the most powerful conversation I'd ever had in my life. I won't repeat it, because it went on for a long time. But in so many words, he reminded me of a mission that I had. He saw something in me. I couldn't see it in myself, but he saw something in me that he wanted to channel for the benefit of the wider community. I stayed, and he changed my life forever, and although he left in 1996, I was forever in his debt. For years, as Mick referred, for years he would call me and give me a ticking off. He wasn't my boss anymore, but every time he rang, I cracked myself. Because if any of you had ever spoken to Richard Shaw, he had a voice deeper than Barry White. And he really, really used to terrify me. But I never always listened to him, but most of the time I did. He'd give me ideas, and I would try my best to make them happen. He was quite upset with me because I wasn't militant enough, but I did have to remind him that it was him that said we have a non-campaigning stance, and we mustn't be militant. I only realised the respect I had for him was a mutual respect when he sadly rang me 2 years ago, asking me to become his power of attorney because he had been diagnosed with terminal cancer. In 2018, another founding member of staff, as you've already heard, Mick Watts, became outraged when a politician attacked my integrity as a disabled person. I had ventured into politics. It's quite naive if I'm entirely honest with you. But on behalf of the trustees of DD, Mick filed a complaint to Derby City Council, which was upheld eventually. It took 9 months for them to investigate a simple complaint, and that had a massive effect on my mental health because I had to stay quiet. That attack on my integrity rocked my confidence for a short while only. But what was most important was in this matter, DD had the back of disabled people who wished to enter into the decision-making arenas that they so rightfully should participate in. She's gutted here because she can't be here tonight, but Pat Taylor was another force behind me. On countless occasions, she would support my actions, reactions, and ideas, no matter how controversial. As a successful CEO herself, she understood my logic and frustrations about running a complex group of companies. And I believe I'm truly a better person due to her wisdom, so I thank her too. For the last, certainly. For the last 10 years, David Moss, as chair, has been outstanding. The worst thing a chair can do is interfere in the running of a charity. David shared my belief. If a CEO is paid a salary, not a brilliant salary, but a salary, if the CEO is paid a salary, it should be left to get on with it. I mentor many of the CEOs across the UK, and more than often their frustrations stem from interfering trustees who should step in to support the vision of the leadership, not take leadership roles into their own hands. I thank David and all the board members past and present for their fostering such discipline. They've let me get on with it. Today, this dapper, smartly dressed, confident, if not slightly arrogant, but incredibly good-looking Amo Raju. This Amo Raju has a nice car, a house, and is perceived as success. And it's all owed to a number of people. Naturally, my parents deserve much credit for instilling my moral values. And I do recall at the age of 6 or 7, my late father sat me on his knee and held on to me like never before. He had had a drink or two and was clearly feeling emotional. With tears making their ways down his cheeks, he said, "Others fear for your future, but I'm not worried about you. God will look after you." As I was saying, I was only 6 or 7, and whilst I vividly recall his hopeful sadness, I didn't understand it until years later, what he was trying to say. But you know, he was right. You see, when the right attitude is applied by people who do not necessarily have any vested interest in the lives of disabled people, this happens. Those who know me well will confirm I have a weakness for nice cars. What you will not know was that in 1985, my medical consultant refused to sign a form from the DVLA stating that I was medically unable to drive a car. But then I went to my GP and asked a simple question. I said, do you think I can drive? Without hesitation, he said, yeah, of course, why not? And he signed the form. Why am I telling you this? My life, my independence, my ability to get from A to B and run a charity which has supported now over 150,000 disabled people, generating £30 million in grants, donations, contracts and charitable services over 4 companies, adding £50 million in extra income to the City of Derby for the spending power of disabled people in Derby alone, through a benefits form filling which I started myself. It's all down to those innocent yet powerful interventions by people in this very room. You know, he probably doesn't remember it, but Dr. Batra on table 7 was the doctor that signed that DVLA form. And it was Anne Webster's referral to DD and Richard Shaw who ensured my place in DD is written in the history books forever. I know some people have a different outlook on how they landed into the roles they enjoy today. But to me, people like Anne Webster, Richard Shaw, Pat Taylor, Dr. Batra and Mick Watts, for me they were game changers. And I will always be in your debt. On the flip side, be aware. Non-judgmental support and belief that disabled people have untapped qualities can also lead to the creation of megalomaniacs like me. So when disabled people get the correct support, they are guaranteed to excel. It's not rocket science, it's simple. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please join me in a round of applause for these guys who changed my life. Thank you. Apparently, I hold the record for being the longest serving CEO of a disability charity in the UK. I won't stand here and suggest that I have achieved my objectives. That's a subject for board historians in the future to debate. But it's been an incredible journey. And I've been fortunate to have stood on the shoulders of so many staff, past and present, who did and continues to provide so many services, products, and in some case, a reason to live for disabled people. Yet those in leadership positions may agree it's one of the loneliest jobs in the world. When things are going well, everyone likes to take the credit. And of course, success is never down to the CEO. Can't be, can it? And when the ship is sailing over stormy waters, it's the CEO that has to navigate the ship back to port. And yes, that's also when others should be the ones going to the TV interviews. Can't be the CEO. After receiving so many awards and accolades, the Jedi in me realised the Force was indicating that now is the time. In fact, 24 hours before he passed away, Master Yoda himself, Richard Shaw, gave me his last piece of advice. Know when it's time to step down, control the narrative, and make sure you go when the flag is flying high. Today, Disability Direct has a healthy balance sheet, including a capital asset, the building on Pride Park, which itself is worth over £1 million. No mortgage on it, we own it. I have looked at the accounts of disability charities across the UK for the last 2 years. We are one of the healthiest in the country. I go to meetings across the UK and see other CEOs, and we are the envy. And they have basically copied our business model. And I have no problem in that. In fact, as I say, I mentor CEOs from across the UK, and the first thing they ask me is, we want to do what you've done. And I say, it ain't that easy. We'll get you there. As CEO, I have been energized by many things, but one attribute I treasure in my inner circle is loyalty. And I want to thank so many, but particularly Raj and Louise. And the only person I am actually terrified of in the whole of DD, my PA, Jag. She tells me off when I'm wearing the wrong clothes. I walked into work once with, okay, they were orange shoes, they were brown shoes. She rang my wife. She goes, when he gets home, throw his shoes away. But thank you, Jag. Jag has actually organised all this tonight, so please give her a big round of applause. 15 years ago, or was it maybe 20, I can't remember. Charlotte, how many years have you been here? 17. 17 years ago, I adopted a new daughter at Disability Direct. She calls me Dad. Charlotte, thank you so much. Where are you? Don't cry. It's very easy to make Charlotte cry. Thank you, Charlotte, for being my daughter, and I'll continue to be your dad. And to one of the latest recruits, Maisie, who models herself on the Harry Enfield character, Kevin. Every time I ask her to do anything, no. Why? No. I hate you. This last year I wasn't fully in the room due to many personal reasons, including my health and the loss of my father. And these fabulous caring people have looked after me as if I was one of their own. I'm no longer your CEO, but I assure you of my continued friendship. Thank you. I stepped down from the role I loved so much, knowing that this team will look after my baby. And I will support whoever steps into the role. And I assure you all here tonight, the new CEO, this board and future boards will have my unconditional support and blessings to take the greatest charity ever to even greater heights. I'm also honoured to be the DD ambassador, and yes, Ferrero Rocher will be on tap. And I will champion the cause and our story far beyond the city. My last thank you tonight is to my wife and children. I'm sorry I've been absent for the last 30 years. My children have grown up to be well-rounded and beautiful individuals. They're over there. As you can see. And I take no credit whatsoever for them. My wife has done all the hard work. But she's been a rock to me. She's been an absolute rock to me, and I often scratch my head saying, what the hell are you still doing with me? However, I am going to miss the conversation we had every evening when I used to come home from work. And she'd ask me, how was your day? And I'd start, give her the main headlines, not realising she switched off and buried her head up into Instagram. This is true, it happens every evening. How have you been? Not interested. Anyways, Mrs. Raju, in front of all these witnesses, I now promise to be at home even more often. And I know I'm going to have to fight the dog Caesar for your attention. I have got a dog. Honestly, I've got a dog. What's next for me? Well, as I said, I am the DD ambassador for as long as needed. But I've also started an international CIC to alleviate poverty amongst disabled people in India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. And I'm delighted Louise and Raj have joined me in this private venture. And can report that in 2 weeks today, we are flying to India, where, along with the Davencio girls at the back, where we will have donated in the region of 100 wheelchairs and hand bikes to disabled people in poverty. I've not quite left the building as I've secured funding via another little venture to create the city's first ever professional podcasting studio for disabled people. If you're ever in the building at Pride Park, feel free to pop in, you'll be very impressed and I'll thank Maisie and Taggart for their hard work in putting that together. Just yesterday I met with one of the highest profile disabled people in the country. I won't mention who she is yet, but we're about to do something exciting on a national, if not international scale there too. Before I finish, I'd like to make one final statement. The vast majority of you have messaged me privately congratulating me on a successful career, wishing me well for the future. One who couldn't attend and make it tonight asked me the secret of being a successful CEO. I think there's many answers to that question, but here's mine. Earlier I gave examples of how I faced discrimination, harassment, prejudice, suicidal thoughts, homelessness, poverty, all types of frustration. When you have the lived experience of the people you want to serve, it's only natural you feel that they are members of your extended family, your parents, uncles, aunts, siblings, and even your children. And that's when you can truly feel the pain of those who use your service. That's my success. That's the secret of my success. I understood the pain of the people that we want to serve. And finally, I promise you this is finally, as I've got a microphone in my hand and I know I'm being filmed, so this message is going to go way outside this room. I'm going to share a prediction with you. Over the last few years, particularly after the publication of my book, Walk Like a Man, available on Amazon, please. I have been messaged, emailed and stopped on my travels across the UK by countless parents of disabled children or younger disabled adults themselves. And a recurring theme in the conversation is that people like you have given them confirmation. People like me have given them confirmation that disability is mainly in the mind of the beholder, and possibility is now more reality than a dream. That's a really powerful statement that I keep saying, getting heard again and again. So here's my prediction. There is going to come a time, Louise mentioned I've got a crystal ball, and this is my crystal ball in action. There is going to come a time where those disabled youngsters today will be kings and queens of whatever the arena they choose tomorrow. I consider these disabled children as my kids too. And my message to those in management positions across the UK in all industries, be worried. Be very worried. My kids are coming for your jobs. And if the system or society chooses to continue to oppress disabled people, all that's going to happen is it will continue to create future generations of arrogant, confident, stubborn, yet stylishly good-looking Amo Rajus. Vice Lord Lieutenant, ladies and gentlemen, my friends and family, thank you for the love you have shown me for the last 30 years, and I'm your humble servant for the next 30 years. Thank you.